Jungkook once wrote a letter resigning from BTS while still in the barracks, but his mother threw it away. Was the end of BTS closer than we ever realized? What if the unshakable foundation of BTS almost crumbled in absolute silence? What if the moment fans feared the most, Jungkook walking away forever, nearly happened without a single goodbye? And what if the only reason it didn't come true was because of a mother's quiet decision to erase her son's pain before the world ever saw it, in the silent tension of a military barrack, far from cameras and the stage lights that defined his youth? BTS's youngest member reportedly sat alone, pouring out the heaviest decision of his life. According to a deeply disturbing leak from a close family confidant, Jungkook once wrote a resignation letter to HYB and BTS while he was still fulfilling his mandatory military service, ready to give up everything.
Fame,
Music, brotherhood, freedom, the world. Every single part of it. But no one ever read that letter, because before it could reach its destination, his mother found it and threw it away. The world sees Jungkook as the golden magne, a beacon of perfection, consistency, and resilience. But no amount of applause can drown out the noise in one's own mind. Alone in the military barracks, stripped of stylists, producers, rehearsals, and instant feedback from fans, Jungkook found himself face-to-face with a reality that had haunted him for years. The sense that perhaps his time in the spotlight was not his choice anymore. That maybe it never truly was. It wasn't the first time Jungkook's emotions trembled under pressure, but according to this insider, it was the first time he had taken pen to paper with the intention of permanently walking away. Why would someone adored by millions, who's broken global records and carried the pride of an entire nation on his shoulders, consider giving it all up with just a few written lines? What level of exhaustion, disillusionment, or emotional fracture could bring Jungkook to such a point? And why didn't HYB, BTS members, or the world ever find out? The answer, heartbreakingly, may lie in a mother's unconditional instinct to protect her child, even from himself. According to the source, Jungkook mailed a letter home. It wasn't a message of celebration. It wasn't a note about his upcoming discharge. It was goodbye, a farewell to the past decade, a confession that he no longer had the strength to carry the weight of being Jungkook of BTS. His mother, upon reading the letter, reportedly cried for hours before burning it in secret. She told no one, not his brothers, not HYB, not even her own husband. She simply waited until he called home again and pretended nothing had happened. She listened, reassured him softly, and encouraged him to rest, to think again. Days passed. The letter disappeared, and with it, so did Jungkook's declaration of departure. But what happens when someone tries to bury a feeling that doesn't want to die? Even after returning from service, fans noticed Jungkook had changed. His smiles were softer, but rarer. His interviews became guarded. He once said, "I'm still figuring out where I belong," a cryptic statement that fans didn't understand. Until now, if this leak is true, it rewrites everything we thought we knew about the BTS journey post-enlistment. It paints the group's future in a more fragile light than ever before. Could Jungkook's internal struggles signal deeper fractures beneath BTS's image of unity? Is the youngest the pillar of emotional strength for so many fans, the one holding in the most silent scream? And what does this mean for the band's highly anticipated reunion? While millions await BTS's full return in 2025, this hidden chapter introduces a chilling uncertainty. If Jungkook almost resigned, if he really sent that letter, what guarantee do we have that his heart is still fully in it now? Did the flame rekindle? Or is he simply performing the role expected of him? This story isn't just a shocking revelation. It's a haunting echo of what could have been. It forces fans and critics alike to ask uncomfortable questions. How much of BTS's strength is performance? How long can one man bear the weight of being flawless before he decides to shatter the image entirely? Jungkook has yet to speak publicly about any of this. But silence, in itself, can be louder than any speech. And the silence from HYB? Deafening. And denials. No confirmations. Just the steady drip of unofficial whispers that keep intensifying. What is undeniable is that fans have long sensed a shift in Jungkook's energy. Even before enlistment, he seemed distant at times, staring past interviewers, turning more toward philosophical expressions in his lyrics. His solo project, Golden, carried notes of yearning, vulnerability, and detachment. Was it art imitating life, or life bleeding into the only outlet he had? More questions now arise. Did his fellow members know? If they did, were they sworn to secrecy? Could that explain Taehyung's recent melancholic tone, or Jimin's growing distance online? Could this hidden resignation letter have nearly torn apart the group we believed was unbreakable? And most of all, could a single act of maternal protection, throwing away a letter, have altered the destiny of the biggest band in modern history? The implications are staggering. The pain Jungkook must have felt when writing that letter is unfathomable. And the fact that the world continued to turn, unaware of how close we came to the end, is chilling. This is not just a rumor. It's a wake-up call. Behind every idol is a human soul. Behind every performance, a personal story. And sometimes, even the brightest stars silently contemplate disappearing from the sky. But thanks to a mother's intervention, we still have Jungkook. For now, what happens next is a story still being written, and only Jungkook holds the P.E. and the days following the rumor, fans across the world began looking back at footage with new eyes. A grainy video from a military send-off, a quiet handshake, a forced laugh. Suddenly, everything seemed to carry more weight. Had Jungkook been silently suffering all along? Could we have missed the signs that he was preparing to walk away forever? The supposed letter, though now lost to ashes, has become a symbol, not just of pain, but of the raw, human threshold even idols must face. It's one thing to grow tired. It's another to write your final goodbye and mean every word. That Jungkook reached that moment speaks volumes, not about weakness, but about how deeply he has endured. And what exactly was written in that letter? No one knows. No photograph exists. No screenshot. Only the alleged retelling by someone who claims to have seen it before it vanished. A few chilling words were quoted in the leak. "I don't recognize myself anymore." That single line has ignited a storm. Fan theories, reaction videos, and emotional tributes have flooded the internet in recent days. Some believe it's a cry for independence. That Jungkook, after years of carrying a manufactured persona, wants to discover who he really is outside of BTS. Others argue it's not about the group, but about the system. The relentless schedule, the media scrutiny, the lack of choice. If that's true, it would echo similar concerns voiced by artists around the globe, especially in the K-pop world. But then the question emerges, why didn't HYB say anything? Surely a letter this monumental, an emotional tipping point for one of the company's most valuable stars, should have triggered a response. An internal crisis, a statement, a redirection of priorities. Yet what we received instead was silence. And now, in that silence, fans hear something louder than ever before: neglect. Was Jungkook left to carry all this alone? It would be easy to believe he was always the strong one. After all, he's been the center of attention since he was a teenager. He trained under immense pressure, debuted young, and quickly rose to become the face of a global phenomenon. But success is not the antidote to burnout. In fact, it may intensify it. And when that success comes with expectations of perfection, both from your agency and your audience, it becomes a prison made of applause. Did I ask this what drove Jungkook to write that resignation letter? If so, then what happens now? Will he return after military service and pretend it never happened? Will he smile, dance, and sing as though his mother never burned away the last thread of his breaking point? Or will he finally confront it? Speak it aloud? Let the world know just how close he came to disappearing. Already, fans are divided. Some express heartbreak, vowing to support him no matter what path he chooses. Others demand accountability, calling for HYB to address the emotional toll of their artists, not just celebrate their chart positions. But perhaps the most striking reactions come from those who say they always knew. "You could see it in his eyes," wrote one longtime fan. "He looked tired, not just physically, soul tired." And then there's the unspoken fear. What if the letter was just the beginning? If Jungkook could reach such a vulnerable point once, what's to say he won't again? Did burning the letter truly resolve his internal conflict, or merely delay it? Can a mother's love alone prevent a storm already raging inside? The story isn't just about a piece of paper. It's about everything that led to that moment and everything that might still come after. It's about the weight of being seen but not understood, praised but not protected. And it's about the unseen cost of being someone else's symbol of strength while quietly falling apart. Inside the barracks, Jungkook had time. Time to think. Time to relive the years behind him. And time to consider whether his path ahead was truly his to choose. In that quiet, he didn't have fan chants. He didn't have stage lights. He had silence. And in that silence, the thought emerged, maybe it's time to stop. But what do you do when stopping means letting down millions? When your absence wouldn't just affect a company, but a culture? When your identity and your job have become indistinguishable? These are questions no 20-something should have to answer alone. And yet, according to this story, he did. Some insiders now claim that Jungkook has been renegotiating not just his contracts, but his entire role within the BTS universe. He allegedly asked for more creative autonomy, more time, more say in which promotions he does, or doesn't do. If true, this would be a subtle way of pulling back without causing alarm. A quiet rebellion. A way of saying, I'll stay, but on my terms. But would HYB allow that? Control is currency in the K-pop industry. Every appearance, every live, every airport outfit is part of a strategy. If Jungkook is stepping outside that model, even just slightly, it could spark a domino effect the company isn't ready for. Especially when the return of BTS as a full group is expected to be the biggest entertainment event of the year. What happens if the golden magne doesn't shine the same way? What if he refuses to shine at all? It's a terrifying thought for the company, for fans, and maybe even for the members themselves. Because BTS isn't just a group. It's a bond, a family, a legacy. And if Jungkook almost walked away from that, what does that say about the true condition of that bond? Did anyone know? Did Taehyung suspect it? Was Jimin too far in his own silence to notice? Did RM, the leader, miss the signals? Or did they know all along and simply pray it would pass? We may never know. But one thing is certain, the image of BTS as untouchable, unbreakable, and eternally united has just cracked. And somewhere in a house in Busan, a mother still holds the memory of a letter that almost changed everything. She may have burned the paper, but the words, those raw, trembling words, can never be erased from her heart. Or ours. And now, the world watches, waits, and wonders. Will Jungkook ever speak the truth behind that letter? Or will he carry that silence, just like he carried so many things before, all the way back to the stage?